Hello, welcome to another episode of Balanced Act, and it's a very special episode of Balanced Act. Today, what I will be doing is showing here the very first episode of a Sacred Space podcast. It's a brand new podcast I'm working on with my friend Jason of the Sacred Space Tampa, and it's a podcast where we'll be dealing with things more in the spiritual realm. Yes, I like to explore both the metaphysical and the practical, as you know, to find my middle road of getting through life as a human being. But I am very much left-leaning, so to speak, in my beliefs, and this will explore those sides of those beliefs more so, but also with a friend of mine and with friends of mine at his Sacred Space event area, his event space, which he calls the Sacred Space. So here it is. Everyone enjoy. Please comment at the bottom what you think. And if you do enjoy, please jump over to Sacred Space Podcast channel and subscribe. Subscribe there for future episodes of Sacred Space, which will be coming online to you bi-weekly. Also, I'm happy to announce that I've made a commitment to coming out with Balanced Act weekly. Oh, I don't said it out loud. All right, so guys, enjoy. Thank you for joining me as always, and may you find that balanced path between the metaphysical and the practical to your own well-being and understanding. I love you all. Enjoy. Thank you. Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the Sacred Space Podcast. My name is Juan, and I'm here with my friend Jason, and we are here at, the Sacred Space. This is a space that my friend Jason has created. It is essentially a kava bar, but it is also a space for wellness. And Jason, if you want to give us a little bit of background on the space, and we'll move into today's episode.
Sure. It's called Sacred Space Tampa, and it's evolved over the past year. Basically, we opened in May of 23, and it's designed to bring people together that have the like-minded, approach to life of trying to build their wellness and their consciousness, spirituality, and we have many modalities of healing and helpfulness here with cold plunge and red light and yoga and breath work and the like. So we try to bring people together around some good causes, and we're at an alcohol-free space, and just we want to keep everybody sort of clear-minded and working for the betterment of themselves.
So the point of this podcast is to really bring people closer to that form of spirituality. My experience with this form of spirituality has been very healing for me. It has brought me closer to God from my understanding. And I think it's something important for all of us to consider one way or the other. If you're new to this kind of spirituality, if you're uncertain about it, we definitely invite you to join us. Right now, we're probably doing a podcast perhaps twice a month or once a month, and we will be moving to weekly. So we do invite you back with us. Right now, I would say about twice a week, or rather twice a month, and we'll discover and we'll explore these types of subjects together. So speaking of which, today, our first subject will be about meditation. Meditation is an incredibly important practice to our form of spirituality, plus also just in general well-being. There's a lot of science behind this now as well. And also in how the formation or the form of the pyramid can help you with this type of meditation. So Jason, I'm a little bit unfamiliar with pyramids and their power. I did a little quick Google, YouTube research before today's episode to kind of figure it out. So maybe if you want to give us a little bit of background, at least your understanding of the power of pyramids and how it can help you with meditation.
Absolutely, Juan. Yeah, for sure. And Google and YouTube, don't downplay that, because you can learn so much from that stuff. Like for the first few years, that's how I learned all the information about it. I just went down this rabbit hole. I think I got interested in ancient Egypt, and from there, it was just, there was so many rabbit holes to go down, but one of them was the power of the pyramid, right? The power of the pyramid is very interesting because it's not just one thing. It's actually got many effects. So it's got the effect to help you get into a deeper meditation, for example. And it also, I believe, and through the the power of the meditation that I've had in a pyramid, which we're sitting in a giant pyramid right now. I don't know if you can tell that from the video. We'll probably add a still or something like that to
Yeah, well,
show the pyramid.
we'll add one in towards the end of the video so you can
Yeah.
take a look at it, and also some of the other pyramids he has around in the space. And
Yeah, so this
really,
pyramid has been exceptional for me to get into very deep meditation and to receive what I call downloads. So downloads for me are basically, it's the idea that consciousness is non-local. Consciousness is something that exists everywhere in the universe in what we call the ether or prana. And that because of the way our brains are made, we're able to tap in to more of that consciousness than, let's say, a frog or an amoeba. We have more complexity to our brains, so it allows us a more complex understanding of what the universe knows. So we download that at different levels based on our own personal vibrations. And being in the pyramid for me has helped me to have more of these downloads and very profound ones where I've realized amazing things about myself, my path, those around me, life in general. And it also has helped me tremendously in my relationship with my partner. She and I have had so many great conversations in this pyramid, especially when times are tough, right? I mean, with every relationship, there's always those challenging conversations you have to have. And we always go, this is our spot. We go to the pyramid and we sit here and meditate for a little bit, and then we have a conversation. And the conversations tend to be more from the heart. They tend to be from a higher perspective, and it allows us to diminish our ego so that we can find common ground. We can communicate at a deeper level.
So you feel that meditating under the pyramid with your significant other has allowed you to basically have a more heightened conversation than you would have had otherwise?
Yeah, I would say that's accurate. And the conversation is, it's more heartfelt in the way that we see each other as part of the same whole in a way. So our hearts are more open, we're more receptive to what the other has to say. We can understand where they're coming from, and we can understand ourselves too, and can see ourselves clearly as far as what our own failings are, not just in the relationship, but maybe in general, like interactions with everybody. So there's a lot to learn by sitting in a pyramid and just doing some meditation. But like I said before, it's so much more than that. There are so many different ways that pyramids can enhance life in general. They enhance healing, for example. They enhance the ability to store food for longer. You can actually structure water by using a pyramid and placing the water underneath the pyramid. Because of the pyramid's vortexing energy, when it hones the ether, it's going to bring that energy down in a spiral, which interacts with the water molecules in a way that structures the water, which is very healthy for the human body, for all bodies. And we also see that plants, like these little plants here, grow much better. Seeds can be charged up in a pyramid and then planted, and then they'll sprout forth many times faster. Many more seeds will turn into seedlings, and many more of those seedlings will turn into full-grown plants, and that will all happen much faster. We also see more fruit bearing. So there's a lot of research that's been done to show the effects of pyramids on plants as well.
Speaking of research, we were discussing just before the video, there was a gentleman in the early 2000s from Russia. What was his name again?
Dr. Gulad, I believe.
Dr. Gulad, and he did experiments in the early 2000s with pyramids, and they were scientifically recorded experiments. So for those who are, such as myself, new to this concept of pyramids and the healing factors of them, and also the fact that they can tap into the Earth's magnetic sphere.
Yeah.
This is scientific fact. And these are experiments ran in Russia by the gentleman. His name escapes me again. Sorry.
Dr. Gulad.
Dr.
It's a
Gulad.
strange name.
And so this is something that you can also research on your own. But some of
Yeah,
his
the research continues. They actually do amazing work there in Russia. It's amazing because we think, you know, life beyond the Iron Curtain is gray and,
Right.
and scary and dark, but you know, there's some really interesting research that they actually do over there, and for
Mm.
some reason they're interested in that sort of thing, which, you know, I applaud. But
Sure.
they have found, you know, that their type of pyramid, which is based on the phi ratio.
The phi ratio.
Phi ratio. Are you familiar with
Okay.
phi?
Mm-mm.
So the phi ratio is like 1.63, whatever. And it's the
Just relating to
ratio that you
geometry.
see in the golden ratio, which
Okay.
you can
Yes.
see in life. Like
Mm.
our hands, for example, show the golden ratio, our arms, based on the 1 plus 1 equals 2. So your next number is 2. And then 2 plus 1 would be 3. And then it's the number before, so 3 plus 2 is 5, and so on and so forth. So it keeps building in that way, and
5 plus 4 to 9.
yeah, so you
Mm.
see that increase, you know, and that's how I guess they've mapped it out to show how it would plot out on a graph, and you can see that in nature with like a nautilus shell and things like
Mm.
that.
And I know golden ratio is also very important in art.
Yes,
We use that to decide where to place things
right.
onto the page
Mm-hmm.
or onto the canvas in order to
Absolutely.
bring interest to the eye.
That's right. That's
Right.
right. Yeah. So
So
everything that looks beautiful
mm,
has a synchronization with phi ratio, with the golden ratio. So, and maybe that's why the Giza pyramids as well are related to phi ratio, but in a different way. So they did a direct phi ratio with the Russian pyramid, and they built it with wood and fiberglass, no metal. They found that that worked better for them, and they were able to have effects around the pyramid where, you know, grass was growing better, crops were growing better, people were living longer and happier.
if I understand also the air around it, and this was measured, the pollutants of the air around it cleared.
Yes, I heard that too. That's amazing stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, who knows how that stuff happens? I'm not a scientist, but I find this stuff fascinating.
Yeah, full disclaimer, we are not scientists nor experts on the subject matter, but
No.
however, we have experienced its effects in
Yeah.
our own personal lives. And we hope that will also, through this podcast, begin to affect yours in a positive way.
Yeah,
So,
that'd be nice.
thank you. And it's true. It's one of the reasons why I started coming here. It's been about a month now since I
Yeah.
started coming here,
Yes,
and
yeah.
it has had a positive effect on my life. The person who I'm currently in a relationship now introduced me to this space, and her name is Angela, and it's been wonderfully healing for me as a place of community, as a place of love, unconditional love. You welcome me as family immediately. We're friends now, you know, and so I highly recommend, if you live in the Tampa Bay area, stop by for a visit, and we'll give you more information towards the end.
We'd love to see you.
Absolutely.
Especially if you're tapping into this podcast, it shows that you're interested in these sorts of things.
For sure. Oh, by the way, the kava is good here too, and the kratom.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll have to talk about that in a future episode, probably what kava and kratom are. But
Right.
yeah, for now, I just want to say that I feel like I built this pyramid 10 years ago. I feel like that has changed my life in a positive way. I have seen great healing happen here. We do group meditations in this pyramid where we surround the person in the center, and we all sort of do our innate Reiki and just send them like our positive vibes and love. And that in combination with the pyramid seems to really heal people, and people have come away just having so many good things to say about their experience, and just feeling lighter, feeling like that they can move past some of the pain that they have
Sure.
in their hearts, you know, or whatever the case may be. I had COVID in 2021, October 21, and I was so sick. I was sick as a dog, and I was in bed like solid for like days. And I managed to get out here. It might have been the second or third day. I managed to get out here and just sit in the pyramid for a couple hours, and I had this reprieve that was just unbelievable. I felt so much better. That, you know, I felt like, oh my goodness, I'm getting better. I wasn't better at that point, but it did make me feel better. So I can attest, you know, firsthand that the pyramid does something that And what I think it does is I think it's bringing in this life force energy that we all talk about, like chi, prana. Um, it's basically the same thing. It's this energy that imbues all life, that is
Right.
behind every living organism, and even things that we don't consider alive.
Well, like the Chinese would call the Tao, or maybe what we call
Hmm.
here in America the Holy Spirit, so to speak,
Maybe,
from a
yes, yeah.
Christian
Hmm.
standpoint.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So yeah, it animates us, and I think that at times in our life we become low in reserves on
Mhm.
this pranic energy, and we get sick or we get depressed or what have you. And so keeping high levels of that energy in your body is really important
Mm.
for good health, for wellness, for a good state of mind, for presence of mind. So that can be really important to when you're in a pyramid or just wearing one on your head, which I do. Here I got a small one that I've made with a tensor ring on it. Sometimes, if I can't be around,
There's no tinfoil inside of this
that's
pyramid.
right. There's no tinfoil. This is a lot of copper in here, crystals. But I wear that because of the shape power, and it really does work. Even a small one like that on your head, it actually does amazing things. I've tested it out because I've done so many markets where I've just like had this out and people look at it with
Mm.
curiosity and they're like, can I try it on? And of course, let people try it on, and they close their eyes and they slip into a meditation. I can see it. And
Yeah, I've seen a lot of
yeah.
that on my research
Mhm.
about the head pyramid meditation,
Yeah.
and it actually was saying that it brings down the ionosphere to be able to tap into the pineal gland, and allows your brain to go into a theta wave state, which is the state where we go into just before we go into a dream state. But now you're in a waking state. So from what I understand, this brings you into a more creative space mentally.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And from what you were telling me, you before we started filming today, that some of your best ideas you've had meditating right here under this pyramid.
Yeah. Yeah. I bring a notebook sometimes because they
Wow.
just come fast and furious. And yeah, I mean, who knows where they come from? But I think, we all have access to these things. And,
Yeah.
and, sitting in a pyramid is just one of the ways. I'm not going to say that it's the only way to get into a deep meditative space, but I feel like
Mm,
it's a way to accelerate that process. So,
right.
so for example, for me, I've been trying to meditate since I was 18 and largely unsuccessful until recent
Mm,
years. But since I built the pyramid, I have been able to meditate without fail just about every single time I come in here. And sometimes I don't even intend to meditate. I had a therapy session where I was just after COVID hit,
mm.
and everything was online, right? So I had a Zoom call with my therapist, and I sat in here, and I was just automatically in such a deep meditative space that I think she was frustrated with me because I wasn't really as communicative as I normally am.
Right.
But it's just it's a way to hone your skill sets maybe in meditation. It's a way to
Mm,
get there quicker. Monks meditate for scores of years to get to a place where that they can control their mind
mm.
and meditate deeply. And if this is a way to do it quicker, then I say that's a good thing, and
Yeah,
we
for
may as
sure.
well.
Yeah, and why not? Why not try it? So these can also be looked at as kind of like a tuning for meditation,
Sure.
or maybe a tool to enhance meditation.
Definitely that.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely that.
Yeah, that definitely aligns with my research I've seen as well.
Yep.
I also, on a side note, experienced one of the Reiki ceremonies here. We was
Yeah,
praying for a young lady, Trina,
that's right.
that was sick in the
Hmm.
hospital that night. Organ failure, kidney failure,
Yeah.
and didn't look very good. We did the Reiki ceremony here. It was a beautiful experience at the very least. She called that night and was saying she was being discharged from the hospital.
Yeah, she was amazing. She hadn't been
Yeah.
able to sleep, and during the Reiki session, she got very tired apparently, and was able to finally get some sleep in the hospital. You know how it can be in the hospital with all the noise and commotion. She just wasn't able to sleep for a couple of days, and she was exhausted, which obviously wasn't helping her healing process.
Yeah.
So we got together. We did this great Reiki where Karen, who's my partner, she's Reiki certified, so she was able to send the Reiki, and we all joined hands and sat under the pyramid and just sent her our love. And yeah, it's like the power of prayer. I
Yeah.
mean, it works, and it's hard to argue with that. You know, if something works, it works.
It seemed to work that night.
Yeah.
And I was sitting right here and at the bar and the kava bar, and she called and she said, "Hey, I'm getting discharged." I was like, "Well, I guess it works."
Incredible. Incredible.
Yeah, it was very incredible. So during my research, I did see an interesting counterpoint from a gentleman many of us in the spiritual community are familiar with, named Sadhguru. And he had a counterpoint of, well, first of all, he did recognize the power of the pyramid, saying due to its degrees, which he apparently got wrong. He said 54 degrees, but the degree of the pyramid is actually
51.58, I believe.
51.58. So he said due to its degree, it does tap into a prana called vana, and that is the prana for preservation. And it's been scientifically proven that something about the shape of the pyramid does cause preservation of fruit, preservation of meats, and so forth. And you may see it shrivel up, but you won't see it rot, so to speak.
Desiccation, right.
Right. So he did recognize that, but then he also went on to say that and I want to get your opinion on this, that the shape of the pyramid is meant for the dead, such as you think of the tombs in Egypt or perhaps in South America. And he was saying, since they are meant for the dead, that you are alive, and that when you're doing meditation, you should be focusing on the living. So his point was that the pyramid shape, rather than being a tool for meditation, as we've been discussing, is probably more of a distraction, saying that it will bring attention to dead things versus living things, and it will distract you from the point of meditation, which is to be, in his opinion. So he says meditation, this was his words, meditation is not a practice, but is a way of being. And that focusing on something that's meant for the dead will take you away from that being, which is being alive. So what would you think to that counterpoint from Sadhguru regarding
Well, I know
pyramids?
Sadhguru, and you know, I think he comes under question for his involvement with the World Economic Forum and things like that, as far as the validity in all things he says. And he does claim to have a lot of knowledge on a lot of things. And I feel perhaps pyramid meditation isn't really one of them. So he may have assessed this without actually spending much time in a pyramid, if at all. In India, they do take pyramid meditation very seriously. They have what's called Pyramid Valley there, where hundreds and hundreds of people gather every week to meditate in these large group pyramids, or group meditations in pyramids, very large pyramids. And they do it for a reason.
Where Sadhguru is from.
He's from India, right?
Right. Yeah.
I think so. It's a counterpoint. It's interesting, and I'm definitely still alive. Last time I checked, and I can say that yes, it does have the ability to preserve meat, which is a dead animal. It does have that ability to preserve fruits and vegetables and plants and things like that. But that's not all it does. Like I said in the beginning, that's part of what it does, but there's so many other things that it does. And to me, like I would say to him, spend some time in meditating in a pyramid and experience it for yourself. That's the only way to really know for sure. You can theorize or base it off of your training or your intuition, but until you actually experience it, you're not going to really know for yourself.
Right.
I wish that he would give it a try and go down there to Pyramid Valley. It's not that far of a motorcycle ride for him.
Right. Yeah, he's known for his motorcycle. He's also known to. He famously says he doesn't read either. Like he just. So this might maybe be an assumption from the use of pyramids in Egypt and maybe South America.
Yeah, because there were really no mummies found in the Giza pyramids.
Right. That was another point.
So considering that it's associated with the dead because of that, is actually not accurate. And I personally am of the belief that in ancient Egypt they may have used the pyramids in a process as part of the burial of kings,
Mm.
but I don't think that that's really what they were built for. I believe that they were built as huge energy devices. Whether they were physically powering lights and things like that, I don't know, but I think they were definitely powering the extension of a golden age, where people's enlightenment would stay higher because of this tool, as you speak of it, this large,
Very
awesome
large,
tool.
yeah.
And they had other things. So the pyramid power is one thing, but it would be connected to these obelisks, which obelisks are known to send out and radiate almost like an antenna the power of the pyramid. So they're radiating that pranic force all across Egypt. So, it's possible, it's feasible that they were doing that for spiritual reasons.
Right. So it may have been that the pyramids of Giza or in Egypt weren't even really meant to be used as tombs, so to
Right,
speak.
right.
Yeah.
At least not the ones on the Giza plateau.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there were those are perhaps the oldest,
Mm.
and that's in reverse of what Egyptologists think. They think that they went through a series of perfecting the pyramids until they got to Giza, and then they made these perfect pyramids.
Right.
I think those are far more ancient, and that Khufu and some of the other pharaohs actually renovated them because they, after a great cataclysm, they perhaps were in disrepair with the casing stones falling off and things like that.
Mm.
So I believe that that happened in the Pharaonic age, but I think that the Great Pyramid and the pyramids on the Giza Plateau predate Pharaonic Egypt and into a land known as Kemet.
I've heard a little bit about this from a podcast called History X.
Mm-hmm.
There seems to be a lot of good science behind the idea that there was possibly a time period when we were, I guess, technologically sophisticated even before now.
Yeah.
And that was lost in a cataclysm called the Younger Dryas.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've
Roughly
heard of that.
12,000 years ago, or
About
something.
so,
Like
yeah,
that.
which was if people are unfamiliar with the Younger Dryas. It seems to be a cataclysm that did actually happen, where we were bombarded by meteorites on this planet, which would have, if there was a civilization then, wiped that civilization out, because it's shown on the geological record that there was a cataclysmic moment where there was a certain, I forget the element, that was found throughout the earth that's common in space, but then throughout the earth on a certain level, which goes back about 12,000 years, is found all over the earth.
Yeah.
So there's definite solid proof that this cataclysm happened. And if there was a civilization then, it would have been wiped out then.
Sure. So yeah, I mean, that lines up with a lot of the things like this Great Sphinx, which the Great Sphinx would have, you would expect, faced Leo.
Right.
And it would have faced Leo about 12,000 years ago, based on the procession of the equinox.
Right.
And also, this geoengineer went down and took a look at the Great Sphinx and discovered that the erosion at the bottom of the Sphinx, which is carved out of like a rock face, it actually was water erosion,
which is insane.
So yeah, so to think about this, the last time there was water that could have covered the Giza Plateau probably was more in line with that Younger Dryas period, where there was that cataclysm, which probably led to the flood that is talked about in so many different manuscripts,
right.
In spiritual scriptures. So yeah, it all seems to line up to being a lot older than we think it is. So.
And I also heard about online, talking about the pyramids of Giza, that during the 1930s there was a French scientist that theorized that it was used for gathering energy, but then kind of looked at it, I guess, as pseudoscience, so to speak, until very recently, where I think there was an experiment performed out of London. I might have my facts wrong here, where they discovered that energy is being picked up and stored in what they would call the secret chamber of one of the pyramids.
Okay.
And that it is actually gathering energy, like they can measure it, and because they're saying something about the fact that it's facing true north,
Yes,
and that it's
that's
tapped
key.
into the magnetosphere,
Yeah.
that it is actually gathering and can collect energy.
Yeah.
And
It has to face true north in order to be turned on to work.
Well,
It's strange,
and
but
they were saying the energy is it's not an insignificant amount.
yeah.
So this is something perhaps you would want to research on your own, but this is something I came across during my research for
Yeah,
today.
I've seen some of that too, where
Mm.
I mean they've definitely showed that some, I forget the name of this scientist that climbed up on top of the Great Pyramid when you still could, and he had, I think, touched somebody, and then there was this great shock that was produced by being up on top of the pyramid, and then he created like some sort of like ad hoc battery type thing, and was able to show like this great power of this energy that was being collected at the top. And of course, the Great Pyramid, I believe, used to have a gold capstone.
It did. Yeah.
So you know,
Limestone sides.
we don't know exactly, you know, why, but I would suggest that gold is a great uh, transmitter of energy.
Yeah.
So it's potential that maybe that was used in some electronic way or electrical way, rather, to bring in that and harness that energy and bring it down. Of course, there's things like the sarcophagus,
Yeah.
which it's rumored that could have housed the whatchamacallit, the Ark of the Covenant.
Oh yeah.
So
And
if
which
the
is, from its description, sounds like it was like an atomically charged whatever it was,
Right.
whether it was a weapon
Right.
or just a power
Right.
cell.
Yeah.
I mean, you open it up and then you disintegrate.
Yeah. I mean,
Sounds like atomic energy
seen
to me.
Indiana Jones, right? But it definitely seems to have been in the Great Pyramid and worked within that structure of energy collection and creation. So maybe they were powering Cairo or whatever back in the day. Who knows?
Wow. So in conclusion, Sadhguru, you might want to do a little research before you talk down on pyramid meditation. Oh, respect to Sadhguru. All right. So, well, that's it. That's our first episode of the Sacred Space podcast. Thank you for joining us. We love you all. We hope to see you all.
Yeah.
Jason, we'd like to tell them where maybe they can find you online, or
yeah. Well, right now we don't have a website. We're looking to fix that. But we have Instagram and Facebook, and we're located at Sacred Space Tampa on both of those. So come check us out, maybe give us a follow. And if you're in the Tampa Bay area, come check us out. We have community night on Thursday night. We have art night tonight, which is Sunday. Ooh. And we're going to add some more. We definitely have some musical events. We have a stage here. So we bring in conscious performers and all kinds of different artists of many different stripes as well. So yeah, come check us out. Love to see you.
Absolutely. Well, once again, thank you for joining us. You'll see us again. Right now, we'll be doing bi-weekly, but we will move to a weekly format. In the meantime, stay loved, stay safe, peace and love to you. And I'm going to close out by saying namaste. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you. Bye now.